Hi, this is Margaret from Margaret's Crafts. I wanted to share with you a little video on how I put together my I Love School book. This is a book that is made out of the large envelopes. And what I'm going to share with you, first of all, is about the insert page. And then I'm going to share with you Kathy Orta's hidden binder technique. There's other videos out there that shows you how to do it also, but I'm just going to do it with mine. These are the 9x12 envelopes I'm going to use. You're going to need 7 of them to do my book, and also 2 pieces of chipboard. And let's get started. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of my pieces of one of my envelopes, and I'm going to cut it down. This envelope is very strong. It's almost like having the Tyvek, because I can't tear this envelope. So I'm going to use this as my binding. I practiced already on a different one, and it works. So to do my binding, all I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a little bit off of the bottom. And I'm going to cut all the way up until to the fold line at the top. Now, to make your binding, you're going to need a paper that's slightly smaller than your sheets, and because your pockets, and this is the size pockets I'm going to use. So if I just cut a slither off of each side, it'll give me the exact size that I need. Okay. And here's what I'm going to use for my binding. Now, to make my pockets, all you do is I cut that little part off of the bottom. I don't want this extra fold in there. I just cut right to that fold line to open up the bottom of my pocket. Then you decide on what size you want your page to be. I decided that I wanted, my other book was a square. This is going to be a rectangle. If you wanted to, you can even cut them down to have a rectangle going the other way. I wanted a nice large page, so I wanted to see how large I could get it to go. And the size that I picked out is 10 inches. So then I'm going to bring my open part up to the 10 inches. And cut. Now I'm going to do this for the remaining 6 envelopes. Okay, and these are my 6 pockets. I'm going to sit them aside, and I'm going to get my scoreboard. Now, the way I did it is I didn't need it to be exact. I did this about 2 inches. I'll make my first score. Then you do a 1/2 inch, a 1/2 inch, and a 1/4 inch. Then you're going to do a 1/2 inch, a 1/2 inch, and a 1/4 inch. I'm going to keep on down doing this. Then the last 2 is just going to be a 1/2 inch and a 1/2 inch. Okay. Now, what I like to do is I like to try to fold my pages a little bit. What I do is I take my 1/2 inch and I pinch them up. Make sure they're straight. And then I use the bone folder to give it a good crease in there. Then I go to my next, where it's like the 1/2 inch together, and I'll fold that up. Make sure they're straight. And give it a crease. Okay, these are going to be where I fold up at. So then I kind of like pinch it and get it right there at the 1/4 inch line and just go back and forth with it. And bend it back. Then I put my nails, I bring those, the next ones up. And bend it again. Right there at that 1/4 inch line. Give it another crease. Back and forth at the 1/4 inch line. Okay, now I turn it over on the back, and where I have where my 2/4, my 1/2 inches will go together, then I'll take my tape. And I'll just lay it right down on one side. I kind of like to lay it on the bottom, and I like to match it right up at the bottom edge. And just pinch those two back together again, because you already have them folded. Just give it a good press to make sure it stayed right together. Then I'm going to go to my next one. And right there at the bottom line, right at that 1/4 and that 1/2 together, put another one right at that line. There you go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And these are the flaps that are going to connect it to your book. Now, all you need to do now is create your spine of your book and your front and back panels. 9.5. So we cut it 10.5, and we're going to cut it at 9.5. Okay, so when my book fits in here, and it'll have a little left over for the tags to stick out, and I have a little margin at the top and the bottom. So we did it at 10.5 by 9.5, and we need 2 pieces like that. So we'll cut 9.5. By 10.5. Okay. And I'm going to use this extra piece that I cut off. All you have to do is measure how wide your binding is. My binding for my book is about 1/4 of an inch on each side. So I would say 1 3/4. So I'm going to do a 2-inch binding. And that means I need it to be 2 inches by 9.5. Okay. These are my 3 pieces that I'm going to be using for the binding of my book. I'm going to have the front, the spine, and the back. And when you put this together, I'm also going to use, instead of using Tyvek, I'm going to use some more of that envelope that I cut away. And this time I have the piece from the back. Where did I put it? That has that little cut down the middle. So I'm going to cut all the way to that cut down the middle, which is going to be enough room in here. Actually, yeah. I need a piece that is 9.5. So I'm going to trim this piece up. Now, that's my piece of that I'm going to use as Tyvek, because as you can see, I can't tear this. So I'm going to take my spine and I'm going to center it right on here, and I'm going to use my score tape, my tape, on this one. And I want all sides covered. All the way to the edge. If I didn't get it exactly to the edge, I'm just going to take my ATG tape to get all the sides. I like this part really, really stuck down. And I'm going to center this on this piece here. I like to get it down really, really good, because this is the part that's going to take all the beating. Now I'm going to put some tape on the end here. White on white is kind of hard to do. And I'm going to put it on the end piece over here. And again, right next to it. I don't want to get to the center here. I'm going to do both sides like that. The very end. Right next to it. And then the very end of this one. Okay. Now, I'm going to take my tape off of here. And off of one side. Now, I'm going to turn this over and I'm going to apply this. I'm going to line it up so that its top and bottom is matching, except I'm going to leave like 1/8 of an inch space in between. So when the book closes, it has room. That makes the little hinge in there. Now I'm going to make sure this is down tight. And I'm going to do the same thing with the other side. Now my book is able to bend back and forth. Now what I'm going to do is your spine will be able to sit right in here. But what you need to do before you place this on, you need to cover your front and back.